Hello, 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 hello. Hey, soldier. Uh, Today we are starting chapter 7 of Higurashi. But first we need to finish this staff review from chapter 6, and then we will get started on chapter 7. Oh, is this not like a whole big thing? Oh, it's another note from Ryukishi. Alright. Hello, my name is Ryukishi07. I hope you enjoyed playing Higurashi When They Cry, Ho, Chapter 6, Sumi Horoboshi. There are several themes I wanted to write in this chapter, but I'd like to talk about one of them here. It's about the denial of murder. This is something I had to write sooner or later, since this is a novel about serial murders. There are two means that youngsters in particular use these days to solve problems, which are murder and suicide. When we feel stress, we choose to either get rid of the source of the stress or to get away from it. Kingdom Hearts title. True. Let's say you're bullied by a kid at school. You have two ways to solve the problem. You choose either to get rid of the kid from your current environment, or to get away from the environment itself. Usually bullies are stronger and have their underlings, so you don't stand a chance alone to get rid of them. It's also not easy to switch classes or to quit school, so you can't easily get away from the situation. As a result, the situation gets worse day by day, and your stress urges you to solve the problem immediately. And you come up with murder or suicide as easy solutions. If suicide is considered defeat, you'd want to consider murder. I feel like there are many people who think that way. However, if you actually committed a murder, it wouldn't be easy to pay for the sin. I believe murderers know that well too. But you really hate the bully who pushed you to the limit where you have no choice but to kill him. So, with a determination that turns your entire life upside down, you commit murder. But, if you have such strong determination, there have to be more ways to take than opting for murder, which should be the last resort. You can talk to your friends. If that doesn't work, you can talk to your family. If that doesn't work, you can talk to your teacher. If that doesn't work, then what? There have to be more ways. If you have the determination to give up on your life by committing murder, there have to be more ways. Our modern era is better than any era before it. There are many hotlines that you can call to talk to someone. Even if you don't have any friends or family, there are many places you can go to for help. The people who will answer the phone aren't amateurs. Most of the time. I won't comment more on that. They're volunteers, but they're also veterans who have worked as social workers or juvenile counselors for a long time. I can assure you that they have more social experience and passion than your parents do. People who work to help people for free can't be bad people. If you feel like you have no choice but to kill the bully or commit suicide, please try to call those hotlines. People who think it's useless to talk to others usually haven't really talked to anyone. Have the courage to call. There will be somebody you can completely rely on at the other end of the line. Don't keep it to yourself. Talk to somebody. Ryukishi07 wrote such a long story just to tell you this. He must be a very poor writer. Nice self-diss there. So, Ryukishi07 wants to talk to you all, rather than worrying all by himself. How can I write even more entertaining stories? Bitter laugh. Oof. 07th expansion, Ryukishi07. Well, I definitely could have read that at the end of the last stream, couldn't have I, soldier? If it was that short. Well, I feel the big stink of silly. But anyways, that is hello Golden. That was chapter 6. That was the review for it. That is a pretty interesting question, to be honest. Because even although this was written back in 2002, don't worry, I'm pulling up the 7th chapter right now. Give me just a second. There we go. Because even though he does have a point about us being more advanced, like, that's still like stuff that all of us is gonna have to deal with, whether we like it or not. I really like that chapter. Yeah, chapter 6 was pretty good. I was talking about hello Joaquin. I was talking about the review afterwards from Ryukishi himself. Let me. That's gonna look weird for a little while, but don't mind it. Okay, there we go. Then make that full screen. There we go, and that should be good now, right? Yes, that's good now. All right. And let's adjust this. Yeah, that's way too loud. That's poopa stinka loud right there. No shutting out the Golden. The Golden does not stream. He will one day eventually, hopefully. But yeah, Joaquin basically was asking us like it's talking about like taking other options than like solving your problems with like something like as drastic as murder suicide, which I do think is like a serious issue even today. Even though this was written back in 2002, it was still an issue. Even though we were still pretty advanced with stuff like that, it's still a huge issue today. And I mean, I think mental health is kind of like one of those issues that's not really going to go away for like. It's always going to be there. It's just, there's no real way to like, there's no permanent heal. It's just helping those around us when they're struggling with it at the moment. And just doing the best we can. Because we could get to a point where we could like heal physical injuries like cancer or like diabetes, or like sicknesses like that. I feel like at a certain point in advancement in technology, we could get to the point where we could heal stuff like that and fix it. Mental stuff is a lot more complicated, in my opinion, than something physical. Because that's just, not only is that like really difficult, that's a person-to-person basis. Physical stuff, you could kind of say that is also a person-to-person basis, but it's most human bodies are the same. Let me clarify. They usually have the same biology. Like, you usually have the same framework. That's not the case with, like, minds. Like, everybody thinks differently, for the most part. Animal therapy does do good. Cats are actually really good for mental health. You probably know what I'm talking about, Golden, but, like, having a cat is, like, such a like huge like help to your stress and stuff. It's something about the frequency they purr at that's able to like de-stress your body, and they essentially help you live longer. But you could it's not just cats, but like cats are like famous for it. Anything that like makes you not as stressful will help you with that. But anyways, no, we don't watch the openings. I don't want to get spoiled, so I never watch the openings. Sorry, I kind of went on a big tangent there. I apologize, guys. They brought up that topic, and I kind of wanted to talk about it with you guys. Because having talks about mental health is always never a terrible idea, I think. Okay. Start. Common cat W, true. Now, from what Joaquin told me last time, the the author of this chapter is actually Rika, I think. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure Joaquin said that the author, not the author, you know what I meant, the narrator, the person we're reading as. Rika, yeah. Alright, let's see. Minogoroshi. Massacre chapter. This story includes the unit inside and out, using all the actors. This is no longer a story. It's a public autopsy for all to join. As they say, after loving someone, cut open their belly and eat their organs. It's the same with stories. The difficulty is quite mild, well suited for those with pride. Alright. We're gonna get the creepy kid laugh? W. Oh man. They always gotta have the creepy kid laugh when you start it. Audio good, by the way? Anything too loud, too quiet? Just let me know. Alright, so we're reading as Rika. What are you doing? I don't see you playing by yourself that often. All you could do before was to nod to my questions. Since when do you have your own will? Find the creepy kid laugh in the files and replace it with Clash of Clans laugh. No, you start off every chapter with yeah. Wait, that was bad. Let me try again. Yeah. God dang it. The audio is. Oh, okay. All right, good. All you could do before was to nod to my questions. Since when do you have your own will? I'm glad. I finally have a sister or a brother. Ooh. Whichever you are. I used to be an existence of nothingness, just like you. But one day I began to have my own identity, my own thoughts, and eventually my own body. So it's not a surprise to see you in possession of your own will. Welcome to this vast yet tiny world, my sister. Ooh, Rika's sister, okay. You might be my brother, but let me call you my sister until I know for sure. This is an endless, eternal, and infinite world. Probably talk about the world of Higurashi. I think I'm going to refer to the overall world as Higurashi, because I feel like it's like a world thing. It's not just the village. It's not just the prefecture. It's got to be like a world thing.
Oh, yes, Daddy!
Thank you, Golden. But no, seriously, thank you for the bits. But that doesn't mean it's boundlessly vast. I suppose. You could describe it like a ring with a small diameter. It wasn't me. It was, the giraffes. Was it giraffe a rig or its evolution? That's a question. While the ring is an eternal, endlessly looping world, that doesn't mean it contains infinite space. Yes, in short, this world is eternally sealed. The future is supposed to be an infinite weave of countless choices. Yet for whatever reason, our world always ends in death. Okay, it's definitely... I told y'all! Golden, you're gonna have to hold this L, because this is obviously some supernatural crap. I told y'all there was like something supernatural to it. I could be wrong on Oyashiro-sama being an actual being, but I've always said that it had to be something supernatural. I never said, You said from the beginning it was parasites. You didn't include supernatural, so that means you didn't say it was supernatural. So that means Mochi W, Golden L, Mochi 1, Golden 0. That's what that means, Golden. Gotta get the Ghostbusters to solve this one. Or can they? If I were to compare it to something, perhaps a maze of fate would be appropriate. Looping through the same moments forever, steadily grows harder and more dejecting, eventually producing something like me. Then as that draws further on, even one like you is born, and eventually this world may be filled with your sisters too. After that, we'll build a colony inside of it, and once we lose our interest in this maze, Rika Faraday will disappear from this world. It looks like you still cling to this narrow world, Rika. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that this... I feel like this is... Hear me out. This is the original, like, Rika talking to, like... Alright, I don't mean to bring up, like, comic books in DC, but do you guys know Darkseid from DC? How he's, like, he's in a separate world, and the Darkseid that we all know is, like, actually, like, his avatars. His avatars. And, the original Darkseid is in a world completely different from it. So I'm thinking, like, maybe Rika has, like, avatars. Shut up, soldier. Rika has, like, avatars that she sends into the world of Higurashi. Third person? Yeah, because Joaquin, I feel like she's talking in third person. And she's, like, sending avatars of herself out there into the world. Who knows? That's what I think, at least. Who's the most... I don't know what that means, Golden. It looks like you still cling to this narrow world, Rika. Though I lost interest long ago. Didn't even say goddamn it, Rearbo GL. Oh, shut up, soldier. Shut up, soldier. Which is why I'm truly glad you were born for me to talk to. So what are you doing? Oh, what's this? Are you collecting fragments of memory? Oh, shoot. There's only 5 or 6 of them right now. Soldier, was that you that said Kingdom Hearts earlier? This really is some Kingdom Hearts crap. What the heck? This is cool. Wait, I wanna... Is this another art styles? Oh no, it doesn't look like it's another art styles. Oh man, I was hoping... I was interested to see if they had it in like the OG style, this like fragment animation here. I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce that. Are the people who like to do the over-dramatic anime rants and poses. I'd say Keiichi then. Imagine like an 8th grader holding his wrist and saying something like, "Behind the power in my hand is the darkest flame to devour the 9 dimensions," or something like that. There's only 5 or 6 of them right now. It must still be fun for you, though. There used to be more fragments long ago. But one by one, they disappeared into the darkness. Now these are the only ones that remain clear. Oh, that's not how you're supposed to use it. See? Try and hold it up to the light. All of that is the life of Rika Faraday, and its end. Oh shoot. That one is... Oh, I remember that one. This music is majestic. Hold on, I want to turn out the music. That is like some Kingdom Hearts tier music, guys. That's really beautiful. That's the world when Keiichi was cursed. Oh, this is chapter 1. Those fragments are like books to me, so I titled that one the Onikakushi chapter. Oh wow. So this confirms that Rika is the one that is titling the chapters, okay. Higurashi 358/2 days. Do you remember what happened in that one? Good. That makes things easier. In Onikakushi, Keiichi Maibara was consumed by the darkness. He couldn't accept the kind words his friends offered him, and eventually beat them to death, not knowing of their kindness. We were all killed after that anyway. That had nothing to do with his story, though. That fragment is the Watanagashi chapter. Shion Sonozaki was cursed in that one. She killed many people out of revenge for her boyfriend's disappearance, as he went missing in 1982. Rika worked so hard, but she was captured at the end, and she was tortured to death. That's why she chose to commit suicide in the Miyakashi chapter, because things were going to turn out the same way. That fragment over there is called the Tatorigoroshi chapter. Satoko's uncle came back and locked her up inside her house. That was the worst world of all. You kinda spittin'. Chat, literally look at the animation of this, like, fragment crystal. Like, you can tell it's, like, moving around. Like, it's tilting. But it's also got this neat animation of, like, the images fading in and out. I don't know how they did that. That's, like, that's really freaking good. There was nothing Rika was able to do in that world. Think Megumin from Konosuba, Rika from... Oh, okay. Their budget went up $20 whole. Yeah, Rika's disemboweling in the gas disaster also happens in Orinkakushi. I remember that, yeah. Whenever Satoko's uncle comes back, Rika usually just gives up on that world. Fortunately, Satoko's uncle doesn't come back that frequently. That one is called the Sumi Horoboshi chapter. Rika was there until just a moment ago. Reina Ryugu was possessed in that world. It was pretty exciting to see her take over the whole school. It surprised me to learn that Keiichi Maibara had a memory of the other worlds, just like we do. It was pretty amazing, but then again, most of us have some kind of memory like that. We all have an imaginary world within us, some idea of what would have happened if you did things differently. It's like the strange feeling you get when you do something for the first time, but it feels like you've done it before. Everyone has a memory of an imaginary world inside their mind. But the memory is not always that clear. It's not surprising, really. You are special enough to be able to see those fragments of memory. It's probably very difficult for you to understand how special you really are. You were born into a world where it's a natural thing for you to see these fragments. I was originally born in the normal world. I didn't know until recently that I could collect these fragments of memory. You grabbed those fragments just because you could, but I didn't know how to do that for a long time. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're not interested in hearing my story. Huh? What's wrong? What are you curious about? Oh? You're curious as to why so many different incidents occur in the same world? It's very interesting, isn't it? Why do you think that's the case? Let's think about it together. Thinking is the first step towards playing a game. The main character among Rika's group of friends is Keiichi Maibara. In Onikakushi, he was possessed by suspicion and killed Reina Ryugu and Mion Sonozaki. If that was an inevitable event, he would be killing them in every world. In other words, what Keiichi Maibara did in Onikakushi was not inevitable. Indeed. The only thing that's inevitable is Keiichi Maibara's role. If Keiichi Maibara was someone with a naturally suspicious heart, he would take the same actions in every world. But that didn't happen. It's true that Keiichi Maibara is both passionate and easily convinced of anything, but it's rare for him to exhibit the kind of rage he displayed in Onikakushi. In other words, even though something might seem inevitable in one world, that may not be the case if you compare it to a different one. If something really is inevitable, it will happen for sure in every life. Alright. So the things that do seem inevitable in every world so far, this has happened in every single world that we know of, is that Tomitake and Mio die. They get killed on the night of Watanagashi. Well, actually, maybe not even on the night of Watanagashi. They get killed. That's inevitable. That fact is inevitable. Another inevitable fact. Rika dies. I say specifically Rika dies because she's killed in like some separate event, usually from a disemboweling. Fourth inevitability is almost everyone in Hinamizawa dies. At least everyone that we know and that matters. And those are like the only inevitabilities that I've noticed. That's what true inevitability is like. Yeah, you get it? Okay. It's very important that you know that. When you compare the different worlds, what's common among all of them is the truth. Understand? Like I said, what seems inevitable in one life could just be a random event in another. The club activities that Mion Sonozaki suggests are a good example. If Mion Sonozaki had a strong inclination towards playing certain games, he would be playing them in every world. But in reality, you participate in different activities in most of them. That means that the games they play in the club are randomly decided by Mion Sonozaki. We know that now because we've been through many different lives. Those who only live in one world can't see if the event in question is inevitable or random. Those who only live once can't predict what's going on in Mion Sonozaki's mind. But we can. Although the activities are random, Mion Sonozaki calls us together for the club meeting almost every day in life. Every day in every life. I can see that Mion Sonozaki holds a strong will towards having the club meeting. Mion Sonozaki always wants to play with the other club members. But she doesn't know what to play. See? We can read Mion Sonozaki's mind just by simply examining these fragments. With this alone, we can see part of who Mion Sonozaki really is. Let me talk a bit more about Keiichi Maibara. For those who only live once, the world of the Onikakushi chapter is nothing but a story where Keiichi suffered mysterious hallucinations and beat his friends to death. For them, there's nothing beyond that fact. We, however, can compare different fragments and find out something they could never see. As a result, we know that the murder of his friends was not inevitable. I told you that just earlier. In fact, while there are about 5 or 6 pieces in front of you, he only kills his friends in one of them. That means we can roughly conclude that the possibility Keiichi Maibara triggers the tragedy is less than 20% and is almost a fluke. This means that amongst the countless worlds, Keiichi Maibara causing the tragedy is an unimportant factor. Now, can you find the common thread to be drawn from here? My, you found it already. No wonder you were born in this world. You're quick to learn the knack for playing with building blocks. I didn't figure that out for a while. I was born in the normal world, so I could only see things from a single world's perspective. I was too obsessed with the fact that Keiichi Maibara caused the tragedies, so I had trouble finding it. Right. That's exactly right. You see it? The Onikakushi, Watanagashi, Miyakashi, and Sumihoroboshi chapters all have something in common. Interesting that she's not including the 4th chapter. I forgot what the 4th chapter was called. What was it called? Hold on. I can see this real quick. I know that the 4th chapter wasn't, like, originally intended to be, like, included in chapter 3. Oh yeah, she didn't bring up chapter 3 either. Yeah, the 4th chapter is Himatsubushi, and the 3rd chapter is Tatari Goroshi. Himatsubushi. Yeah. Someone in the group becomes violent because of dark and paranoid thoughts. Yeah, chapter 1's Keiichi, chapter 2 Shion, chapter 5 is also Shion. Yeah, it's interesting how chapter 2 and chapter 5 were considered different worlds, because, I mean, almost basically the same thing happens in them, like the same events, except apparently how Rika dies. Apparently Rika commits suicide in chapter 5, and it's compared to chapter 2, where she actually is caught and killed and tortured by Shion. That's interesting. And what was that last one? As I said, Sumihoroboshi. Yeah, and that's Reina. That's Reina. In each world, either Keiichi Maibara, Shion Sonozaki, or Reina Ryugu become violent as their delusions grew stronger. Keiichi Maibara, Shion Sonozaki, and Reina Ryugu are all my close friends, but they were all born and raised differently. The only common factor is that they all live in Hinamizawa. I just said it not too long ago, though. When we peer through these fragments of multiple worlds, the constant phenomena become our facts, and the chance phenomena hold little meaning. In other words, the unrelated individual culprits are not all that important. To go further, the violence of their crimes also bears no meaning. Keiichi Maibara beat his friends to death. Shion Sonozaki killed the central people of the 3 families, and Reina Ryugu took over the school. They were all different. There's nothing in common there. In fact, the very, very important truth is that while the culprit in crimes are decided at random, their process of growing paranoid until they resort to violence is always constant. The suspect changes every time, but the process does not. After comparing the different worlds, this is the truth I've found. This is one truth that is common to all the worlds of Hinamizawa. The rule is that a random person becomes violent under the influence of paranoid thoughts. This is Rule X. Keiichi Maibara, Shion Sonozaki, and Reina Ryugu. Pieces with no particular connection have the potential to succumb to that rule with random probability. I don't know what the probability is that those pieces will be ensnared by that rule. Perhaps there is some rule to that too. Is it because these 3 are all close in age? Or is it because they all live in Hinamizawa? Well, we're not detectives or police officers. This is not something that a small girl like us, Rika Furade, can easily figure out. At least we now know that there is a mysterious rule in the world of Hinamizawa. People who only live in one world have no way of knowing that. I'm proud of myself for figuring that out. I guess for you it's not that particularly surprising, though. Huh? What did you say? That's right. If something is common among all worlds, that means it's fated to happen. Some events quickly come to mind, don't they? Right. Jiro Tomitake and Miyo Takano are always killed in those worlds. On top of that, they are murdered in exactly the same way in every world. In other words, unlike with our previous rule with its variability, their murders are thoroughly planned out by someone with a strong will. So that does not fit with the mysterious vague Rule X that leads a random individual to violence. After all, they are always murdered, regardless of who falls to Rule X. Therefore, there's another rule to these worlds. A rule that says Jiro Tomitake and Miyo Takano will get killed on the night of Watanagashi. Let's call it Rule Y. Don't you see how funny this is? Jiro Tomitake and Miyo Takano are killed in every world, right? Every time, the character who gets cursed always thinks that their deaths have something to do with the danger that's awaiting them. The fact that someone turns violent, Rule X. And Jiro Tomitake and Miyo Takano's deaths, Rule Y, are supposed to be two independent rules. But they all tend to link them together. Of course, one could say that's how they become ensnared in the spell of paranoia, leading them to violence to begin with. But do you think, in their paranoia, that they notice someone is trying to lead them to link those rules together? Yes. Whoever the piece leading them is, they are the one making this stage called Hinamizawa very complicated. You should have noticed at least 2 suspicious people. Do you know who I'm talking about? I thought Rika was suspicious. I guess you could say Oishi is suspicious? I don't know about Oishi being suspicious though. If I had to guess, it's probably Oishi and as much of a meme as it is, Eerie. That's right. Dang it, I was half right. Do I get half points, chat? I get half points for that, right? I'm referring to Kurodo Oishi and Miyo Takano. When you compare our previous fragments, the role of the piece known as Kurodo Oishi becomes clear. He's a detective who is retiring this year, and he's in a hurry to solve the mystery of the series of deaths in Hinamizawa. After he retires, he'll have to move away from the village. That's why he's desperate to solve this case before he has to leave Hinamizawa. Why is he so obsessed with the serial murders in Hinamizawa? That's right. It's because of the first murder involving the manager of the construction site. The victim was Oishi's close friend. You will see that if you look at the Himatsubushi chapter. Alright, they bring it up. Oishi was there when the dam conflict was at its peak. He saw how the Sonozaki family took control of the Onigafuchi Guardians, and he believed that the Sonozaki family was pulling the strings behind the whole incident. That's why he always suspected that the Sonozaki family was behind the series of mysterious deaths, regardless of the evidence or lack thereof. His personal, biased belief, combined with his credibility as a police detective, affected the pitiable victims of persecution complexes in each world. As a result, the pitiful victims of Rule X come to accept the Sonozaki family as the identity of the unknown force their paranoia seeks. Shion Sonozaki's case was the most conspicuous one in that matter. So yes, if this piece, Oishi, didn't intervene, then perhaps the victims of Rule X wouldn't have resorted to such violence. So the role his piece plays is to indirectly cause the tragedy. I don't know who named him this, but Oyashiro-sama's servant is the perfect nickname for Oishi. The other suspicious person is Mio Takano. One would assume the only role of her piece is to amuse herself with research into Onigafuchi's dreadful history, and to take pleasure in scaring others with those tales. However, just like Oishi, she also gives them the idea that the Sonozaki family is behind all the mysterious incidents that happen in the village. She interfered the most with Reina Ryugu. For Mio Takano, Reina Ryugu was the perfect prey, grasping at straws to try and identify the force she suspected. Ironically, however, Mio Takano always ends up getting killed at the end. If she had survived and seen Reina take over the school, she would have laughed long and loud. Now, have you realized that these two pieces and the roles they fulfill have their own real role too? They talk about the Sonozaki family, and the listeners always believe them. This is Rule Z, and what a humorous rule it is. You should always have an answer to this mystery in your fragments at hand. The fact is that the Sonozaki family always acts as if they are responsible, no matter if they are or not. They always pretend to be the villains in order to make sure that people continue to fear them. As a result, the villagers have believed that the Sonozaki family has been pulling the strings ever since the damn conflict ended. Kurado Uishi and Mio Takano were simply fooled by that rule. Actually, the whole village is fooled by it. Still, the more I think about it, the stranger the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa seems to me. Do you know why? Nearly all the fragments of memories we have here are from 1983. So I have no idea about the incidents from 1980 to 1982. But it's likely that interpreting these murders as serial is simply a result of falling victim to Rule Z, believing that the Sonozaki family is pulling the strings behind everything. In short, they may be trying to conflate those multiple crimes, which each happened for different reasons, into one big case. Well, I have no way of discerning the truth from the fragments here. Still, perhaps something lies in one of them. Each case was supposed to have been solved individually, after all. We don't know if that theory is sound or irrational, but it might surprisingly be an element we can't ignore. That reminds me, Shion said something intriguing in the Miyakashi chapter. That curse system she came up with. Do you remember that? I don't think I do. Her theory was that the villagers believe that they are allowed to kill an enemy of the village on the night of Watsunagashi in the name of... Oh, okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I know this one. In the name of Oyashiro-sama's curse. And that this foundation of murder is allowed on that night alone is the true identity of the curse. Since most of the fragments here are from 1983, there's nothing to back the validity of Shion's theory, but there are still interesting things about it. In other words, her theory is that the suspect is not the one who's committing the crime. It's the environment that's causing the murder. People in a single world tend to analyze a criminal's life to determine the process that led them to crime, but her idea is different. The real crime is committed not by the criminals, but by the environment. In other words, it may only be happenstance that Robber A committed the crime, and the environment of poverty may have created Robber B instead, or perhaps even Robber C. A may not even be a criminal in another world. Therefore, the real criminal is not A, but the environment that creates A, B, or C. And well, while people in a single world may be able to reach such an idea, the widespread desire to place blame commonly causes A to be lynched by society while the environment that gave rise to A goes ignored. Did I confuse you? No, I was able to keep track of that pretty good. I'm sorry. Perhaps that example was actually harder to understand for you. It's easy for me to see it like that because I'm from the normal world. Let me make it simple for you. The culprit behind the tragedy in many worlds isn't individuals like Keiichi Maibara or Shion Sonozaki, but the environment. So Rule X is the true culprit at fault. You're earning good marks if you can grasp that, even if we don't know the identity of Rule X. And if you can grasp the 3 rules governing this stage called Hinamizawa, Rules X, Y, and Z, then you're earning very good marks. So long as you understand those rules, then even if this is your first experienced world, you should easily find the truth without distraction. See? Isn't it fun? Merely 3 simple rules are interacting on this stage, creating a kaleidoscope of 3 different worlds. This is probably a very unusual case. In other locations, you shouldn't be able to see such extreme variation, even after looping through several worlds. It keeps me entertained just staying here and watching these worlds revolve. Anyway, there's one more fact we can understand from these fragments of worlds. This is the biggest problem we Rika Furades are facing. Okay, so that confirms what I was talking about. This is just Rika Furade talking to like her avatars or something. The fact that Rika Furade always dies each time. It's as if June 1983 is a dead end for her. Worse, there's no randomness to it. It's guaranteed to happen. In other words, it's the same pattern as the deaths of Jiro Tomitake and Mio Takano. It's following the exact same rule, Rule Y. Tomitake Jiro and Takano Mio are always murdered on the night of Watanagashi. Furade Rika's date of death is not always the same, but she's always dead by the middle of June. Jiro Tomitake and Mio Takano are probably attacked on their way home, so that's why it always happens on the same night. But for Rika Furade, it's different. She takes different actions in every world, and her lifestyle is very unpredictable. For that reason, the day of her death is not always the same. However, she always dies in June, because a similar powerful conviction vows to kill her too. So we can assume that the same Rule Y killing them is also the rule behind her death? Is the same person killing all 3 of them? I don't know if it's the same person, but it's highly likely the same rule is at work. Is it the same person? Or the same organization? Is it the same views? The same goals? Rika's most important goal is to escape her deadly fate. But it doesn't mean that she just wants to leave the village and survive. She wants to live happily in the village. All of her friends must also be happy too. That's Rika's happy future. The ideal future she hopes for. It's tragic that we can't realize such a simple desire no matter how many times we repeat this. Though, it's a tragedy we're only able to perceive, because we're beings capable of comparing the fragments from different worlds. By the way, I have some interesting information. While Rika is almost always killed by Rule Y, have you noticed that she's killed by Rule X in some worlds? Right. It happened in the Watanagashi and the Miyakashi chapters. Oh yeah, where someone goes crazy and kills her, and not somebody else. Rika Furade committed suicide, but you can say she was more or less killed by Rule X via Shion Sonozaki in those worlds. In other words, this is a blunder for Rule Y. Rule Y is trying to kill Rika with a strong desire to achieve some aim. But she was killed before that, as a result of the unrelated Rule X. That might have caused them to show some disturbance. If Rule Y's objective is to simply bury Rika, then that's not a problem. But if they have some objective beyond that, then that might show up as some other phenomenon. Perhaps the Watanagashi and Miyakashi chapters have something in common. Something that doesn't happen in the other worlds. Unfortunately, we're Rika Furaday, so we don't know what happens after Rika is dead. Or, by any chance, do you know what happened? Since I'm Rika Furaday, I only know of events during Rika's life. You, on the other hand, are a special existence who was born in a superior world. Is there anything that didn't happen in the Watanagashi and Miyakashi chapters that happened in all the other worlds after Rika's death? If you know anything, then that must be another truth behind Rule Y. Shion ironically saved Hinamizawa by killing Rika. True, actually true, Joaquin. That is weird how it works out, isn't it? The memories I have here are all mainly about the chaos brought about by Rika's friends. That is, Rule X. But its foundation, Rule Z, and the obvious hostility common among all worlds, Rule Y, are what I believe to be the true rules governing this stage. If so, then Rika's path is a thorny one. She needs to fight Rule Y in order to survive. Unless she defeats it, she has no future past June 1983. And to win her own happiness, she must also beat Rule X to win her friend's safety. So as long as that's undefeated, one of Rika's precious friends may lead to tragedy. If that happens, then even should Rika survive, she wouldn't have the happy future she hopes for. She may also have to defeat Rule Z, just as Sonozaki Shion faced it in Miyakashi. So long as Rule Z remains, then even if she escapes 1983, it's possible another tragedy may lie waiting in 1984. It's extremely likely that Rule Z is the breeding ground for Rule X. Hinamizawa's fundamental belief that the Sonozaki family is behind everything, and the custom that anything can be misconstrued as the curse, may indirectly be the root of all evil here. People are not surprised to see somebody die on the night of Watanagashi. That type of thinking is keeping the curse alive in Hinamizawa, where it causes even more tragedy. It's Rule Z reinforcing itself. Rules X, Y, and Z. There are 3 rules that hunt Rika down in the eternal June of 1983. They are all tough obstacles. Oh, thank you for the hydrate, soldier. Thank you. We didn't even figure out these 3 common rules until recently. Were you aware of them? If you were, I'll give you straight A's. I've tried so hard in the past to break these rules, but I was never successful. Water drinking ASMR. Wait, y'all can't hear me as I gulp down the water, right? Oh no. However, a miracle happened in the Sumi Horoboshi chapter. Keiji Maibara was able to recognize a small fragment from another world by chance, and he beat Rule X. Glug glug glug. In the end, Rika was still killed that night by Rule Y, though. But still, one rule was defeated. That was a rather huge leap forward. Rika knew there were 3 common rules among the worlds, but she could never break any of them. Eventually, she gave up and lost interest in the worlds. That's how I was born. However, she's different now. She learned something valuable from Keiichi Maibara. That the rules can be broken with a strong enough will to fight. If she can break all 3 rules, Rika Faraday will be freed from her eternal prison. She doesn't have much time left, though. Rika has traveled through many worlds. Her physical lifespan is not a problem, but her mental lifespan is getting shorter. Mentally, she's extremely old, and her soul is starting to turn into something different. In the end, she'll probably lose the ability to experience singular worlds. She's already showing those signs, and eventually her memories from the parallel worlds will mix together, ultimately causing her derangement and the loss of Rika Faraday's soul. Then, she will disappear. That means you and I are going to be left in this dark world. The fragments of our memories will gradually disappear, and we will be left alone in the eternal darkness. Eventually, we will die. Rika Faraday is aware of that. She knows that her mental lifespan is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Hanyu is also losing her powers. Hanyu? Hanyu, maybe the girl that talks to her in the tips, the mysteries girl. She can't rewind through years of time like she used to. Her powers decrease so much that she can barely rewind 1 month at a time. Actually, she can only rewind a few weeks. In the next world, she should only have about 2 weeks of time. Rika Faraday is going to try and break all 3 rules in just those 2 weeks. I wanted to know what's outside the well, so I tried to claw my way up from there. I wanted to know what's outside the well, so I continued to climb even when I fell and injured myself. I finally realized, the higher I climb, the more pain I feel when I fall. My curiosity towards the world and my physical pain become equal. I finally understand the meaning of the frog in the well. Chapter 7, Minagoroshi. Higurashi. When they cry, Kai. That's a heck of an intro, huh, chat? I felt no gravity in the darkness, and lost all my senses as a result. I banged my head on the floor with a dull thud. Seeing stars behind my eyelids, I curled into a ball while holding my head in pain. I had no idea why I was in this situation, but as soon as I heard their voices from the top of the cliff, I realized that I must have fallen. I remember. I was playing behind the shrine with the rest of the club members. I got too excited and started doing something very dangerous. Then the tree branch broke. That's how I fell off the cliff. Pretty calm for someone that just fell off a cliff. My body started to ache all over. I remembered how I fell, but I still felt strange for some reason. I couldn't remember what I was doing. No, it was more that I couldn't remember who Rika Faraday was before I fell off the cliff. Hanyu? I heard Hanyu's panicked voice. Those horns? I think those are horns. Nice. I like our design. I looked behind me and saw Hanyu, standing there with a scared look on her face.
Hanyu. これは一体何事なの?
リカはみんなと遊
I wonder why she hides herself, or the main cast never meets her.
大丈夫なのですか？羽生、そんなことはどうでもいいわ。今日はいつ？昭和何年の何月何日？
I always ask this question first when something like this happens. She finally realized that I was asking the same old question.
昭和58年6月なのです。
Well, that's not good.
綿流しのお祭りが来週なのですから、なんてこと。それしか猶予がないってわけ。僕たちの力もこれが精一杯なのです。
Hanyu muttered regretfully. It was the middle of June, 1983. If this really was the best she could do, I had no choice. I couldn't complain. I gradually started to remember more things.
私がまた昭和58年の6月にいるということは、そうか。また私は殺されたのか。
God, the later OSTs are so good, man. After Reina surrendered to the police, all the classmates were given checkups at the clinic. I didn't get hurt, so I was sent back home after they determined that I had no injuries. My memories started getting vague from that point on. A common characteristic of my violent deaths. It's interesting that she knows that she dies every time, but how she dies, what kills her, if it's somebody that killed her, she doesn't remember that. It's like you would think if she's like able to remember all these things from the past worlds, she would remember like how she died or something like that. But that's not actually the case. She doesn't actually remember the exact cause of death, what killed her, or anything like that. Barely even remembers where she dies, to be honest. Probably doesn't even know where she dies. She just knows the fact that she does indeed die. Interesting. When my life is taken away violently, the memory before death becomes vague with static. It's like a violently ripped roll of toilet paper. That example should make it easy to understand, even if it's uncouth. That's why I have no clear memory of what happened and how I died that night. I only have vague memories. I think someone covered my mouth with a handkerchief or something, and I passed out. That's about the only thing that I remember, and only vaguely. If that's true, then it is someone murdering her, which I guess that's kind of obvious when you get disemboweled. But, I mean, hey, it could have been some stray bear, who knows. Hey, Ark, let me give you a shout out. A shout out. Okay. There you go. Go follow Ark, because I said so. I don't know what you're talking about, Ark. I don't know what that is. I'm not even sure if it really happened. Oh, by the way, Ark, we are on chapter 7 of Higurashi. We are getting close to the end, buddy. We're getting pretty close. We just started chapter 7, though. The only thing I know for sure is that I was attacked on my way home, or possibly after I got there, and that I was murdered suddenly. Oh, okay. Oh my god. So close. I don't know who killed me or how I was killed. I'm glad that at least I don't remember the horrific ending to my life every time it happens. Because of my experiences, I think I now understand why ghosts wander around this world. not knowing that they died so suddenly. If it's a death from a long-lasting illness, people tend to remember that they were sick. They can kind of assume that they died after being sick for a long time. But when your memory is violently disrupted like mine, it can get quite confusing. When I first experienced this, I wasn't sure if I was dreaming or not. I even thought that I hit my head hard and lost my memory. I needed to organize things before I get too confused. My name is Rika Furaday. The One Piece is real. sorry, I had to. People look at me in a special way, but that's not a big deal for me. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. How you doing today, Ark? Everything going good? Having a pretty chill day? All I want is a happy life where I can play around with my best friends. I can't remember how long I've been living just for the sake of obtaining that simple happiness. The panicked girl here is named Hanyu. Alright, Hanyu. Let's see your other sprites. That is vastly different from the console sprite. Vastly different. That one looks kind of like more similar to the console sprite. Yeah, needless to say, I prefer the console sprite. A baby. I'm the only one who can see her. Perhaps she only exists inside of my head? At any rate, Hanyu's invisible and can generally only interact with me. It'll be a long story if I try to explain Hanyu's existence, so I won't be doing that right now. Besides, I don't even know how I should talk to her. Talk about her. She's been there since I was born, and her existence is a natural thing for me. I saw everyone running up the gravel road toward me. They're my important and lovable best friends. Our group's active, boisterous, and we get serious about doing stupid things. I'm never bored when I'm around them, and I love them very much. Aww. Oh, that's wholesome. Hello, this is Hanyu, my not imaginary, totally real friend that only I can see. What if it is just like Hanyu's not like even real? It really is just Rika's imaginary friend. She's just gone crazy. Rika treats Hanyu so badly. She does? I guess she did. From what we've seen, she has been like kind of rude to her. Hasn't she? Be nice to the mysterious demon lady. I call her demon lady because she has horns. I'm not even sure if she's a demon. She is real? Okay. Alright. But we have that confirmation. Damon.
Rika-chan, 大丈夫? 捻挫とかしてない?
What the fuck? Do you think I'm a demon because I have horns? Are you a demon? Maybe you're a demon dragon. You never know.
どこ打ったの? おじさんに見せてみて.
This is acceptable. Synchro summon my very soul red damon's Dora. Oh, it's some Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. Soldier, that's you. You're the Yu-Gi-Oh expert.
ありがとうなのです。頭に単コブができただけなのですよ。
I think all I got was a bump at least. My injury wasn't as serious as everyone thought.
頭を打った時はその場では大丈夫でも油断がなりませんでしたよ。
それもそうだな。念には念で 監督に診察してもらった方がいいかもしれないな。
No, he's sus.
レナもそれがいいと思うな。どうしよう、監督を呼んでくる？そうだね。近くの家で電話を借りて監督を呼んでみるよ。そこまでしなくても大丈夫なのですよ。この通りピンピンしてますのです。ピパ
No, no, I'm not gonna. I was gonna comment on something, but no, never mind, I won't. No, I don't think I will.
ダメですわよ、リカ。万が一ということがありましたよ。
Soldier, that's kind of an L take on subs, I'll be honest. Satoko warned me with a stern voice. It really wasn't a big deal, but I decided to nod since Satoko was trying to be generous. She wasn't trying to boss me around or anything. She was only saying that because of how much she cares. I've seen it before in the many different lives that I've been through. I have no doubt that she's really concerned about me. It's not just Satoko. Mion, Reina, and Keiichi are the same. They're all so nice to me, and they truly do care. Mion left to look for a phone. Reina also left with a towel looking for the water tap. Satoko remained nearby, taking care of me with a worried face. And Hanyu was just standing there, still wearing a panicked look. What if Hanyu is like when she's always staring at Rika, she's like hold on. Oh, you're the master of comedy. Oh my goodness. Wait, open the image and there you go. This is how Hanyu's always staring at Rika. Sorry, I had to. Hamster. Alright, let's get back up. Keiichi seemed to be panicked too, but he was trying not to show it. He's standing by me, wearing a calm expression.
大丈夫か？
大丈夫なのですよ。もう全然痛くないのです。
なら不幸中の幸いだったよな。よかったよかった。
I wouldn't feel anything special about his words if this was a while ago. But at that moment when Reina took over the classroom, when she hurt Mion, Keiichi tried his best to save Reina. Even so, he was more reliable than I ever imagined from his normal behavior. He's usually an insensitive guy who hurts other people's feelings without noticing, but that's not his true self. He has a secret side. He's willing to sacrifice himself for other people. I was just observing that not too long ago. That's why I can honestly feel his generosity now. Now that I think about it, Keiichi regained a memory from another world the previous time around. Is it possible that he carries that memory in this world too? Doubt it. If that's the case, I have some hope. Hanyu and I are totally powerless. Hanyu is only like heir to everyone but me, and I'm just a little girl. There's only so much that we can do ourselves. But Keiichi is different. He changed the fate that I had once resigned myself to. He's somebody who may have the power to take me to my unseen future. If I can get Keiichi to understand me, he could be my hero. That's rough, Rika. You don't want to be in a situation where Keiichi has to be your hero. Perhaps I'm not actually expecting that much out of him. I just want someone to understand my struggle of being stuck in this maze. Oh yeah, I can guarantee feeling like being stuck in like that endless loop, and for the longest time you're the only one aware that the world is like constantly looping in this constant cycle of like different realities. It would get like incredibly lonely, and you couldn't really connect that well with anyone. And you could imagine how big of a shock it was when Keiichi actually remembered a memory from another world. How big of a shock that was for Rika. It's definitely understandable.
Keiichi?
I spoke to him slowly. It had been a while since I felt so nervous. I hadn't felt this way since I started my endless life in 1983. As a witch, I normally would know what his response would be even before talking to him. I often remained silent because I already know how pitiful the reply would be. But in that case, why was I so nervous now?
呼んだか、リカちゃん。
Hanyu gave me a disappointed look before I responded to Keiichi.
Rika.
I could tell what Hanyu was thinking too. The miracle wasn't going to happen. If miracles do happen, one could have happened many times in my other lives. But I've only seen one miracle before. The miracle that Keiichi gave me was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of miracle. Only if it happened again would it be a true miracle. I won't get out of this world just because I rolled 6 on the die once. I can't get out unless I can get a miracle that's equivalent to getting 6 on the die 10 times a row. And so, I rolled 10 dice wishing that they'd all turn out to be 6.
Keiichi.
どうしたんだよ。どこか痛むのか？
He looked at me worriedly after I called his name twice.
ケイイチは覚えていますですか？
I knew how sudden my question was. As I thought he would, he looked at me with a confused face. Rika, you just need Joey magic, then your luck will be better. Joey magic?
え？覚えてるって何の話だよ。
I looked inside his eyes to see his true feelings. He should remember. He should know. Even though he doesn't have the memory, Keiichi experienced it. Joey and Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, that guy.
なんですのケイイチさん。何かリカに悪いことでもしたんじゃありませんの？自分の胸によく聞いてごらんなさいですわよ。
I think he gets a bad roll like 4 times throughout the 5 seasons.
ケイイチ、学校の屋根の上に登ったことを覚えていますですか？ 学校の屋根？ケイチさん、そんなとこに登ったんですの？サトコは黙っててなのです。
Hush!
ケイチ、覚えていませんですか？
俺が屋根の上に？いつ？いや、リカちゃん、それは多分他の誰かの勘違いだろ。俺屋根なんか登ったことないし、登り方だって知らないよ。
Of course you haven't experienced it in this world yet. But please tell me that you remember. I know you've never been up on the roof, but you should still remember doing it. You shouldn't be able to remember it, true, but you actually did once. You should be able to remember it once again.
屋根の上にボールでも取りに行ったんじゃありませんの？
いや、そんな経験一度もねえよ。サトコは経験あるか？
まさか。屋根の上なんて上がったら先生に怒られましたよ。
でもさ、屋根の上で昼寝とかしたら気分が良さそうだよな。
覚えてるわけないのですよ。そんな簡単に奇跡が起こるなら、僕もリカもこんな苦労はしないのですよ。
Shut up. I knew that. I knew that he wouldn't remember.
どうせまた僕たちはお祭りの終わりとともに消えてゆく夏のセミの運命なのです。うるさいな。
Come on, be nice to her. She's like the only, like, real, true friend that you've had throughout this whole experience, Rika, I would imagine. As I stared at her fiercely, Hanyu realized that she had crossed the line. This might be a waste of time. The maze we're in might not have an exit. It might be an endless loop without a goal in place. We are trapped in this fate. I thought that Keiichi might be able to get me out of here. But that Keiichi I saw was truly a miracle, a momentary glimmer. The Keiichi of this world doesn't bear that same miracle. All the same, I'm not going to give up. Last time too, gave up on fighting destiny. I realized Reina was beyond salvation, so I bid her farewell and forsook that world. But Keiichi fought and broke the cycle of fate. I should have worked harder with that Keiichi in that world. I could have broken this endless cycle together with him. Am I going to repeat this life, waiting for that miracle to happen again? I can't do that. I don't want to repeat the same life anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this world, my fates, and everything. I'm tired of getting murdered by destiny. Keiichi showed me a miracle. I should be able to do the same too. I must fight. I must fight with all my remaining power. I was always fighting. I was fighting when I had more power. But I never made it. How can I expect to win this time? Still, I must fight. Keiichi taught me that fate can be shattered. I'm going to fight one more time. Base to Rika. That was a stupid way to put it there, Mochi. Based. Oh my lord. To my granddaughter. I'm sorry for leaving you like this. I just need you to understand I'd rather take my own life than be fearful of how many days I have left to live. That's why I'm writing this letter to you. I can't stand the fear of being unable to leave behind a will while my life is prolonged, even as I lose my consciousness. In the end, there's nothing I can leave behind for you. I was unable to leave any of my achievements to this world. I was forgotten before I was dead. I leave this world a humiliated man, knowing that I had no appreciation from anyone. You must do better than me. You must achieve something that your grandfather was never able to achieve. I don't mind what field you choose. You must leave your mark on this world. You must leave behind your achievements. You will eventually die someday. You will eventually turn to ashes. As a human being, that's your inevitable fate. Mochi, what's your favorite thing about bears? They're big and cuddly. I mean, there's a lot of things I like about them. I just relate to them in general, and like their close sense of family with like the mothers and the cub bears. How the mother's always willing to like do whatever it takes to like get them to survive, and always like fiercely protective of them. I like I like how I could relate to them being kind of lazy sometimes. Just kind of generally chilling. I don't know, I just like bears, man. Also, hey Fuki! My fave thing about bears is that there's one named Mochi. Sorry, that was cringe. You're a good arc. It was a little cring. It was a little cring. But it was that wholesome cring, so it's acceptable cring. Remember, kids, it's okay to be cring as long as it's the right type of cring. But if you achieve a great success, you'll live forever even after you depart. Those who live beyond their deaths are called gods. I wished to become one, but I was unable to do so. Did you just pronounce it cringe? I did. You got a problem with it? So in my place, you must become a god someday. Alright, let's continue.
Hi. もう結構ですよ.
Yeti withdrew the needle from Satoko's arm, and then I grabbed the needle and stabbed him in the neck. But alas, that isn't a perfect world. It must not have hurt much for the needle to be pulled out. Satoko kept her eyes closed in fear, thinking that the needle was still inside her arm.
Satoko, お注射はもう終わったのですよ。
What the? Whoo! Whoo! Shade! Okay, hold on. Oh, shade! Oh, that made me double take. Hold on, wait. Let's see those other styles. Wait, huh? Wait, huh? Nani? Oh, don't tell me this is a console only, bro. Console is based. Sorry, I can't stay for long. I promised I would play Fall Guys with the homies when I got on. No problem, Fuki. Thank you for stopping by. Sorry, no. Oof. As Satoko opened her eyes, she found that Eri was no longer sitting in front of her. Takano was wiping her arm with rubbing alcohol instead.
そうよ。もう終わってたのよ。
They are in other styles?
入江先生は私よりお注射が上手だから。
It does exist in the other versions? Maybe it's just glitched for me. I guess it's just glitched for me, I don't know.
終わったことにも気づかなかったでしょ
Hey now. Hey now. Don't be rude. But for some reason the mod doesn't put them. Oh, okay. One more for the road.
傷口を揉んじゃダメよ。できれば重いものも持たないこと。
分かっていましたよ。さとこは偉いのですよ。なでなでしてあげますのです。注射くらいもう全然平気ですのよ。理科に撫でられるような覚えはございませんですわ。
Not long ago, she would go into a panic when it was time for her to get her shot. The way she behaved today is in itself worthy of praise. Everyone in the room smiled, aware of that growth.
じゃあ、さとこちゃんはいつもの検査を受けてください。高野さん、お願いします。
ええ。さあ、さとこちゃん、いつものクイズをしましょうね。
高野さんのクイズは答えにくい問題が多くて私苦手ですわね。
いつもと同じよ。答えづらい問題はわからないと言ってくれればいいわ。
You know, chat, this is interesting. This is the first time we see Mio actually being a nurse. In the entire 7 chapters that we've read so far, this is the only time we've actually seen Mio do her job. Oh, that's just kind of funny to me.
変に考え込まず、自然に思いついた答えを口にしてくれればいいのよ。
Takano smiled at Satoko to ease her tension. Then she led Satoko to a desk in the back of the examination room.
さとこの具合、良いといいのです。
Oh. I don't know if it's because of the heat, but Satoko has been showing negative symptoms since last month. The change of the seasons can affect her physically and emotionally. It's not a surprise that this is happening to her.
私は入江たちのところへでも行って、さとこの容体を聞いてみるわ。羽生はどうする？
僕はさとこのそばにいてあげますのです。
Use your demon magic and heal her up.
ありがとう。そうしてあげて。
Hanyu went over to where Satoko was. Fortunately, I'm the only one who can see Hanyu. She won't be a distraction if she goes and observes Satoko's test. I, of course, would be a distraction like that. This is supposed to be a routine exam, but it seems like Takano is teasing her by giving her difficult questions. It'd be pretty funny to observe how Satoko reacts to them. I'm a little jealous that Hanyu gets to watch everything without being a bother to Satoko. Yuri was talking with 2 other staff members about Satoko's exam results. I walked up and joined them.
よかった。では、解放に向かっていますか？
From what Yuri was saying, her results must have turned out well.
いりえ、どうなのですか？
安心してください。いい結果が出ました。では、あとよろしくお願いします。
After ordering his staff to continue their work, Yuri showed me some difficult paperwork and started explaining it to me.
先週の検査結果に少々焦りすぎたようです。急に気候が変わったので、交感神経が過敏に反応したのでしょう。風邪をひきかけたりということはありませんでしたか？
There was one night recently that was fairly hot. Satoko was sleeping without her blanket and her stomach was exposed. She might have caught a cold that night.
お腹を出して寝てたことがありましたです。おへそをつっついたけど起きなかったのです。
Okay. I'm just gonna move past that, Rika.
それは羨ましい。
Chat, don't be poking people's belly buttons without their consent. Note, Mochi.
ぜひ今度そういうことがあったら呼んでください。私もさとこちゃんのおへそをプニプニしてみたいものです。
Mochi's second note. Don't let this guy near your belly button. Please. Keep that one in mind most of all. Note 2 from Mochi.
プニプニなのですよ。お腹もぽよぽよなのです。
Note 3 from Mochi. Do not describe said belly button. Thank you.
かわいいからお布団をかけるのがもったいないのですよ。
それが寝冷えの真相ですか。
いいか聞こえていましたよ。そういう時はこっそりお布団をかけてくださいませ。
ダメよ、さとこちゃん。検査中よ。時間も計ってるんだから、こっちに集中して。
Iri, Hanyu, and I all laughed. Satoko went back to her test with a bitter look on her face. Iri began speaking to me in a softer voice.
ただ、小康状態には戻りましたが、レベルはレベル3マイナス。
I have no idea what that means.
昨日も今日も明日も危険な状態を脱していないことに変わりはありません。
I had no idea that Satoko was in, like, a critical condition. I guess that should have been obvious, but still.
レベル3は永遠に治らないのですか？
Are they talking about cancer? Does she have cancer?
アナフィラキシーショックと同じで、仮に異物が完全に取り除かれても、人体側に過剰な反応を示す体質が作られてしまいます。つまり、
さとこは完治しても一生レベル3から治らない。
そういうことになります。
That's depressing, man.
悲観することはありません。 規則正しい生活習慣とセルフコントロール、そしてある種の投薬を続けることによって症状の発生を抑えることができます。
一生治らない。
I looked at Satoko as she enjoyed taking her test. She seemed to be having fun even while being teased by Takano. I can't believe that she's suffering from an incurable disease.
言葉を悪く言えばそうなります。ですが世の中には難病ではあってもうまく病気と付き合っていけるケースも少なくありません。例えば糖尿病がそうでしょう。病気そのものは生涯治りませんが、その発症は抑えることができます。
I know that very well. There are many worse diseases in the world. Satoko might be in a relatively good situation compared to many other sick people.
もちろんこれで妥協するつもりはありません。さとこちゃんはきっと完治させます。絶対にです。
信じてますですよ。
ええ、信じてください。
Iri spoke to me with a serious look on his face. As Satoko's best friend, I felt relieved to hear his words. I'm sure he'll do his best to save Satoko's life. I have no doubt that he'll do so. I've seen him act like this in every life I've lived. I also know why he's so passionate to save her, but I'm not supposed to know about it in this life. That's why I always pretend not to see his sad smile.
そうだ、リカさん。月末にまた少し大掛かりな検査があります。
今度は僕がモルモットになる番なのですか？
そんなつもりは。医学に貢献していただいていますし、大勢の人を救うことにもなります。
Iri's guinea pig is not just Satoko. I'm also one of them. Although guinea pig is probably not the right term. Without Iri's efforts, Satoko would not be here today. For that reason, I should be showing respect to this man. I smiled at him since my choice of words hadn't hurt his feelings. Me.
僕を調べてサトコの治療に役立つのなら、僕がモルモットでもいいのです。
ご協力を感謝します。もう少し人と設備とお金があればこれだけの負担をかけないのですが。
The next moment, the phone rang. Iri answered it in his usual business-like tone.
はい、もしもし、入江です。
東京から凱旋です。そちらへ回します。
I could hear the voice from the other phone.
ああ、リサさんですね。
Risa, have we heard Risa? No, I don't think we have.
もう今年もそんな時期になりましたか。
I don't think we've heard of Risa yet.
電話は所長室で取りますから、そっちへ回してください。
Absolutely. Please hang up on this line in that case.
わかりました。リカさん、すみません。東京からの電話です。
いってらっしゃいなのですよ。
As soon as Iri hung up on the phone in the other room started ringing. He left the examination room and headed toward the office. Hanyu returned to my side as soon as Iri left. Hanyu doesn't like to be around me when I'm talking with Iri. I don't think she dislikes him. She should. She should. It's just that she doesn't really want to hear what he has to say. Iri doesn't mean any harm, but Hanyu is often hurt by the things that come out of his mouth.
どう？聡子の様子は。聡子は相変わらず間違い探しは下手くそなのです。
Iri.
僕の方がいっぱい見つけられましたのですよ。あんたの検査結果なんてどうでもいいですよ。
Come on, Rika. Stop being mean to good old Hanyu. What's Hanyu ever done to you?
聡子の結果はどうなの？
I thought she was there to check on Satoko, but she was taking the quiz alongside her instead. That's so typical of Hanyu. She was treating it almost like a game, but Satoko was tired after taking the same quiz every week. She seemed sleepy, especially after waking up so early in the morning. The quiz in this case wasn't about a right or wrong answer. It was about timing in minutes, how long it took her to answer the question, and observing how she acted during the quiz. Not all the questions would be simple ones, so Satoko often got headaches, more so than even the spelling tests we'd take at school.
もうほとんど終わりなの？はいです。今、高野が持っているのが最後の一冊なのですよ。
Takano was showing a book to Satoko with abstract pictures inside. I couldn't even tell that that was supposed to be a picture. It was just a symmetrical ink stain.
さあ、これで最後よ。これは何に見えるかしら？
Both Hanyu and I looked at the picture over Satoko's shoulders. Even I didn't know what to answer when looking at that strange ink stain.
と、
Satoko continued to think. Takano observed her taking notes while Satoko struggled. She was also timing how long it took her to answer, holding a stopwatch under the table. I spoke to Hanyu so only she could hear me.
羽生は何に見える？このシミ。ソフトクリームなのです。滑って落としてしまって地面にべっしゃりとなのです。もったいない。
True.
なるほど。実に相手の考えがわかるテストね。
To me, it looked like a horse mackerel that had been cut open and its guts pulled out. Dear Lord. I was thinking of food, too. It was rather shocking to learn that my thought processes are the same as Hanyu's. The same? I don't know about that.
何に見えるかしら？思いつきでいいのよ。
Satoko must not be very good at this test. She always takes a long time to answer questions like this. She finally opened her mouth to speak.
2匹の蝶々が重なっている感じですわね。
2匹の蝶々が重なって。いいわよ。続けて。どうして蝶々は重なっているのかしら？
It's mating season. Takano continued to take notes as Satoko spoke. Curious about what she was writing, I looked, but... Is that German? I can't read it at all. Takano was so mean.
ずっと離れ離れで会えなかった蝶々がやっと一緒になれて喜んでるところごめんなさいですわね。私も何を言ってるのか自分でよくわかりませんわね。
いえ、そういう答え方でいいのよ。思いついたことが抽象的ならそのまま口にしてくれればいいの。そういう検査なんだから。
本当にこんなへんてこな絵の感想を言うだけで検査になりますの？
なるわよ。例えば今のこの絵だけど、去年のさとこちゃんは別な答えを出してるの。それを比べるだけでもこの1年のあなたの変化を測ることができる。
Wait, German, let me read it while I'm behind. Well, we didn't get to actually see what was written.
なんだか嫌なテストですわね。去年の私はこの絵に何て答えたのでございますの
Takano smiled and took a note without answering a question. I tried to remember what her answer was, but I have more than 100 years worth of memories in my head. Hanyu might remember better than I do. As I looked at Hanyu, I realized that she was standing there with a sad expression. I decided not to ask her. I could tell what kind of answer Satoko gave back then just by looking at Hanyu's face. Last year, June 1982, that was when Satoko was being abused by her cruel aunt. Recalling that, I didn't even want to know what Satoko answered. But just a year later, the Satoko who was so worn down could no longer be seen. She became so strong. I know how difficult it was for her to stay tough and strong like this. Her growth over the past year is overwhelming to me.
ケンさん、終わりましたか？
Iri returned from his office.
ええ、終わりましたわ。
だいぶさとこちゃんも手際が良くなりましたわ。今日はだいぶ早く終わりましたのよ。
早く終わらせるように頑張ったんですもの。今日は用事がある日だからのんびりとはできませんのよ。
おや？今日は何かあるんですか？日曜日ではありませんでしたっけ？
今日はみんなでミーのおじさんのおもちゃ屋さんで部活があるのですよ。
なるほど。さとこちゃんが妙に今日はおとなしく検査に従ってくださると思いました。予定が詰まっていたんですね。それは悪いことをしました。ではさとこちゃん、これはいつものです。
Iri put a big paper bag on the table. He opened it up and gave her instructions about the medications. Satoko had heard the same instructions over and over before, but Iri still continued to talk just the same.
状態がいいようですので、お注射はこれまでの日に2回に戻します。昼食前と就寝前の2回に必ず注射をしてください。注射針は必ず変えるように。 同じ針を2度使ってはいけませんよ。
Ooh? Ooh what?
それからこちらはどうしても体調が悪くなった時のみ食後に。
はいはいはい、いつもと同じですわよ。分かっていましたよ。
Satoko couldn't wait to meet our friends for the club activity. It made me feel happy to see her as excited as this.
注射2本に戻りましたのですよ。よかったのです。
The number of shots she has to take each day represents how well she's doing. So it's a good thing that she has to take fewer shots.
大変よね。1日に2本も注射を打つのは。
Ow, ow. $500 followers and I do a Hanyu cosplay. I'm kidding, that's a joke. I'm never doing that. Hanyu grew quiet after hearing my comment. He handed her the paper bag after he finished his instructions.
リカ終わりましたよ。
お疲れ様。検査中からずっとそわそわしてたからね。いってらっしゃいな。
すみませんわね、上の空で。いつも検査をしてくださって感謝していますのよ。
What's sus? I didn't say anything sus.
ほら、もう時間がないんじゃないの？私の車で送ろうかしら。そうそう、また車に新しいぬいぐるみがあるのよ。
Stuffed animal pog?
今度は約束通り、さとこちゃんが名前をつけてくれていいわよ。
あら、何のぬいぐるみでございますかしら。どんな名前にしようか迷いますわね。何の動物のぬいぐるみなんですの？
また猫なのよ。
Cat time.
今度は虎島なの。
So it's a tiger, or is it just a cat with tiger stripes?
可愛いからきっと気に入ってくれるわよ。
Satoko and Takano are good friends. They're both fond of stuffed animals. Every time Takano gets a new one, she brags about it to Satoko. That's all they have in common, but having a friend like Takano is a special thing for Satoko. She's part of the Hojo family who tried to betray the village. People at the clinic are the only adults who will even talk to Satoko.
じゃあお二人とも部活行ってらっしゃい。罰ゲームが未定でしたら、ぜひメイド服の着用を提案してください
Put
ね。
this man in a cage!
サイズから種類までいろいろと取り揃えておりますので。
Yo. Y'all gotta see if Alcatraz has extra spots at this point. My man is unhinged and is unstoppable.
また来週お会いしましょう。
嫌なこったなのですよ。
Thank you, Rika.
また来週なのです。さ、行きましょうですわ。今日は部活メンバーだけじゃありませんものね。腕が鳴りましたよ。
I bowed slightly and made to leave the examination room. But I soon realized something. Yet he was looking at me with a sad expression on his face. Just with that look, I could tell what he wanted to say. Oh my god. He's gonna start asking for cupcakes. Golden, you cannot then in response you can't do the cupcake bit to respond to that. Oh my god, Golden, what the heck, dude? Oh, y'all are unhinged. Y'all are unhinged, bro. I can't. Please take care of Satoko-chan if something happens to her. I nodded at him and stepped out into the hallway with Satoko. Good lord.
検査は慣れても疲れますわね。検査、お嫌なのですか？めんどくさいから嫌ではありますけど、これも仕事ですもの。仕方ありませんわ。
Satoko is supporting Erie's research. She gets financial support by helping him out. Or at least that's what Satoko thinks she's doing. Satoko was bursting with enthusiasm, so we headed to Okinomiya at full speed. We wound up waiting for Keiichi and the other club members for a long time. We got here early, but they were late. I think they were late the last time we did this as well. Did it mean that this was something that was meant to happen? It's unpleasant that I can't even change the most minor of fates. I finally saw them coming towards us on their bikes. Satoko acted like she was upset, but I could tell that she was pleased to see them just the same. The way you said that, Rika, that's kinda sus. I'm not gonna lie, Rika. That was kinda sus, bro. Satoko's behavior soothes my feelings of frustration. This is why I love Satoko. If she was a small fluffy animal, I would definitely keep her in a cage. Okay, Rika. Okay. Let's just step away from that thought process.
Satoko-chan, Rika-chan, ohayo gozaimasu nano desu.
What? I'm not. If you do the chicken butt thing, I'm timing you out. Look at my. Oh, okay. Look at my number of bits donated. 2. Wait, how do I? Is there like a top cheers? 71. I see 71. No, it says 71 for me. Golden, I think you goofed. I promise you that it says 71 for me.
Oh! Ohayo, Rika-chan! Satoko, 警察が来る前にケリをつけるぞ。目標は10億強奪だ。
Give him 2 bits back, Mochi. We need the funny number. I don't know how to do that. You think I'm not smart, man?
Keiichi-sanの話がわかりませんわ。遅くなったかな。
Yep. God dang it, soldier.
リカちゃんたちは今来たの？今日は早く終わったのでだいぶ待ってましたですよ。
some jelly beans.
Oh my god.
I like jelly beans.
They gave me a heart attack. You helped me not burn down my house yesterday. I don't know if that was you could really consider that extreme helping. I was just kind of like, yeah, I probably wouldn't put that in the microwave. Thank you for the bits, Golden. Mion and Reina know that Satoko gets a checkup every Sunday at the clinic.
そりゃあ悪いことしたわ。こっちはケイちゃんがなかなか来なくてさ。
That Keiichi. So he's the reason they're always late.
ケイイチでは仕方ありませんですよ。
No, it counts your big brain. Okay.
みぱー。
ちょい待て。俺が悪役になれば丸く収まるのかよ。
もちろん。ケイイチさんでなくては務まらない大役でしたよ。
実に嫌な大役だな。こんなので丸く収まると思ったら大間違いだぞ。
Keiichi grabs her by the head and throws her into the wall like Shion did. Keiichi and Satoko messed around with it. Oh my...
I like jelly beans.
Golden, why the generosity all of a sudden, buddy? I mean, I appreciate it. But, dang, man. Thank you so much. Satoko acted like she was crying, and Reina punched Keiichi, knocking him out cold. Well, alright. It was the same old situation they always got into. I can watch this sort of thing forever. It's like having a glass of cold milk after taking a hot bath.
やっぱりこれが正しい丸い収め方だ。
I got some jelly beans. I like jelly beans.
Soldier! No, not so... Golden! Oh my god, my mind is not in the right place for this, man. Okay, got the funny number back. Oh, you're kidding me, dude. If you were trying to do that, why didn't you just do it all at once? Oh, man. Thank you, regardless.
前歯が欠ける前に新しいオチを探した方がいいと思うけどね。
I had to buy more bets. Ah, I see. We all laughed at him and finished greeting each other.
今日もみんなとっても元気なのです。元気に勝る宝はないわね。そんなこと言ってるとリカはどんどん老け込んじゃいますのです。
I mean, technically she is an old lady.
うるさいな。誰のせいだと思ってんのよ。
Oh, come on. I mean, she's not even wrong.
当分甘いものを食べるのやめるわよ。
Hanyu seemed to be getting more depressed than usual. I should stop teasing her so much.
嘘よ。冗談だからあんまりひっつかないで。ごめんなさいなのです。
Hanyu loves sweet treats. She especially loves cake and ice cream. Since she can't eat anything, she has to depend on me when it comes to that. In other words, whatever I eat, Hanyu can taste too. That's weird. Oh, that's weird. Even if Hanyu craves something, it doesn't mean anything if I don't eat it. In other words, I have total control over what she eats, so that's evil. That's evil. That's why it's fun to tease her with saying what I'll eat and what I won't. It's almost as fun as teasing Satoko.
リカちゃんは今日もご機嫌だね。お持ち帰り。
はいはい、お持ち帰ったら犯罪だからね。
You know, I feel like Reina just doesn't care at this point. She's like, what's done is done.
ミオン、店のおじさんが呼んでるぜ。
リカ、聞きまして。今日の部活、賞金が出るんだそうですのよ。
I remember. Mion was going to be paying 50,000 yen out of her pocket as a prize. I couldn't believe she could just afford that. Therefore, I have to assume that she has some kind of guarantee that she won't lose. Alright, y'all. I know it's kind of in the middle, but I am, I don't know why, but I'm feeling, like, exhausted. Also, very hungry. So, I'm gonna get, like, a quick snack and probably, like, go to bed. But I think we saw a good bit of the intro there for this chapter. I am interested to see more of like Rika-chan's perspective and like the kind of stuff that like she has to say. From what we're seeing, it looks like it's gonna be a lot of too much Roblox gaming. Shut up, soldier. It's gonna be a lot of like maybe events from other chapters, because that teddy bear thing obviously seems to be a callback to chapter, I want to say chapter 2? Yeah, chapter 2. But let's raid Woo. I always like raiding Woo. Raid, not raiding. Raid. Oldest woman. And this is the raid message. This is the greatest bear raid of all time. This chapter is interesting. Yeah. By the way, if you hear me like yawning and stuff, that's just because like where I'm talking so much, and I'll like get out of breath and I have to like take a big huge breath of air. That's not me like being bored or anything. I just, it's something like where it's late at night and I'm like talking so fast I have to like yawn to get air back in me. But I am enjoying this so far. I am interested to see where it goes, but we shall find out more about that next time. And this is the raid message. And alright. I will go ahead and send you guys over to Woo. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Hope you all have a good day. I hope to see y'all later, and yeah. Bye-bye.